What up, what up, what up, what up? You already know who it is. It's your boy B-Phil back again for the week of 10/9/23. Let's go ahead and jump into it. So, let's go ahead and start at gold. So, I already have some lines or areas that I've drawn over the last few weeks, and we're starting to move into those. So, we see here on the daily, you say, Brandon, well, how did you get to this? Well, first, started with this, right? So we had this last large down move down, and we had this break above it finally here. And that's going to validate this particular area. But then you may say, okay, well, what was that zone you had before? And I'm going to go ahead and tell you. Y'all feel me? Y'all feel me? So, let the price come down, come down, come down. You know what? Let's go down to the 1 hour. Actually, I kind of forgot. I ain't gonna, no cap. No cap! That's what the cool kids are saying these days, right? So, we had price down, 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 down. Then we had come up. We had it fall down yet again. And it never went below this area. Then we finally saw a break above here. So, you could argue, okay, well, yeah, we have this area. But then we have this wick come down here and tap into it and then break above. So, I probably had a higher time frame. Yeah, I did. So, you have this down move, last down move here, and then of course there, right there. So if we go ahead and go back, Control Z, everything, you feel me? All right, so we're on the 4 hour, boom. Back on the daily here. Awesome, so we have this move up. Let's go ahead and remove it. Okay, great. So let's go up to the weekly. And it looks like, I ain't no telling. Ain't no telling, y'all. I don't even know how I got to that point. Let's go to the 90 minute. Let's go to the 4 hour. I mean, you see here, we have some recent trades. You feel me? 4 hour. All right, let's go ahead and check it out. Shiesty. Okay, so yeah, it looks like I'm using this area in here, this large area, this large move down. But ultimately, you still see it break down here. Then you see it try and come back up. And then finally, we have this large move up, right? Breaks this area. Then we have this validation there. So pretty sure that's something I was using at the time. It's probably like a 2-week-old level or something like that. So we'll just leave that there. And you see we get a nice reaction out of it. And this reaction, by the way, was from Monday last week, right? This ran all the way, that's 3 days. 3 days and 10 hours, 79 bars, until we ultimately saw a reaction here. So, you know, take it with a grain of salt. We were just waiting for it to go ahead and break above. So now we've seen it break above. We have this price coming down lower, and I'm guessing, yeah, we have a nice bullish divergence here, but what we still see is this money flow is just so red, right? So this would just lead me to believe that we're going to continue down. This is going to print probably a red dot here. Let's go ahead and draw that out so you can see it. This is probably going to print a red dot here, and then we could probably see some correction here, and then we could potentially see it go higher. But I mean, ultimately, this is still kind of iffy. This is a level, and if you didn't get in already, then I mean, I wouldn't even try and force it. There's really no reason to. So we see price come down, and wicks all the way down here. It was coming down here, wicks, right? And we never really see it candle break down. We just see it continue to wick. So then ultimately, we probably want to take this break of this high here, a full body close, right? And it fully body closed all the way over here. So realistically, we could go ahead and say, okay, well, we had something like this, right? And we want to see price come back in that area somehow, some way. And so we'll just wait. We'll just be patient, right? So what we'll do is we'll just go ahead and put us a red line there. Let's go ahead and put an alert. We just keep it simple these days. Simpler. As y'all know, I I used to keep it super simple. Now we're trying to get back to that. So we'll just put an alert there, see what happens. Price comes back down into here. Maybe we'll look for a buy. Maybe we won't, depending on what this actually looks like. If the money flow starts coming up and it starts looking green, then, you know, we could go ahead and potentially go ahead and put in a trade there and see if we can get a nice 1 to 2. So, I mean, it comes down here. We're looking for a trade. We probably want to cover ourselves to that low. Yeah, you can expect like a 1 to 2 for it to bounce back up and potentially break this high. You can see it starting to curl over, starting to come down. So, potentially come down. So, yeah, we'll see what happens when it gets into this area. All right, let's go ahead and look at the good old Bitcoin. Let's go to the monthly real quick. Let's go ahead and turn off that indicator. I mean, some people are saying this is bullish. I mean, you know, I follow a lot of these crypto influencers. Super hype, you feel me? Super hype. But we ain't gonna play into the hype cycle. So what I would say is, if I was betting man, and of course I am, because I look at zones and then I bet that it's either gonna go up or down, right? And then I manage the risk, and that's all this is about. This is about proper risk management. Always keep that in mind when you're dealing in these markets. But when you look in the higher time frame, you look on the weekly or something like this, right? You see it came down, boom, broke back up, and then you see it still see this is just very, very wicky, and it's rejecting off of this area here. You know, it comes up, and it just doesn't know what it's doing until it fell off here. And now it's just moving around in a particular area. And so in order for me to just get a better idea what those look like, more structured approach, you see this is the weekly high, right? We're in this range here, so we could do something like this here. Let's go ahead and get the long line, right? Weekly high, and we got this weekly low here. So we're really playing around in this range. So maybe we come back up here and test this again, and then bounce back down here, and then move around here, and just keep going sideways, as price often does, right? Because if you look here, we have price really, you know, it has some good wick action around here, but it was ultimately kind of moving sideways. Came down, came back up, came down, and tried to come back up, and it bounced down and moved sideways for a bit here, right? Came up, bounced down, came up, bounced down, and it finally starts to move up just a tad bit, not very much. But we could go ahead and leave those there as weekly high and weekly low. Let's go ahead and change the color. I guess green is the color that I'm looking for. So when you start to zoom in a bit, right, you look at this daily and you start to see something. You start to see, okay, well, maybe there's a daily low here, and then of course maybe there's some type of high going on around here. But before we go ahead and do all of that craziness, just take that away. We see there was no clear body close. You have all this wickiness. I guess technically you do have a body close above this last wick here. So you could technically say maybe we're starting to make bullish price action. And then you see price, you know, comes up, meanders and dances around in this area. Maybe you're looking at something like this, right? And then we start to see it wick up. But I mean, ultimately it just looks really choppy, super choppy. So I don't even know what to think about it right now, to be honest with you. I don't know if I would trade Bitcoin. I probably shouldn't trade Bitcoin. So we're going to go ahead and say maybe we stay out of this. You see this last move up, and then finally have a large wick, right? We want to see this wick broken by a body close. We never see that. We see it pull back. You see it pull back a little bit more. We have these wicks just coming down here looking extra ugly, extra hideous, right? We see this wick up and we see a body, so then we could say something like this, right? We could be looking for a tap into a new zone right there. We go ahead and move this back here because that looks like it's already been fulfilled or tapped into. Tap that all over the flow. Tap that, give me some up. I don't know what I'm saying, y'all. Don't even worry about it. But we want to see it come into here real quick. Boom. Go ahead and put us a nice red line, but maybe we just want this alert here. Simple alert. And we'll just wait. We see price come into here probably aggressively, and then we're looking for a black candle down here, and then the white candle breaking above it, right? And then we go ahead and buy stop. So, I mean, if we're looking, we're doing something like this. We could do the last nearest swing. Yeah, I mean, you're looking at 1 to 4. Nice to break this particular high and continue bullish. It might be a good place to go ahead and get position. But if you're being less risk averse, you know, you have a nice little 1 to 1.5 right here. And I think that's a reasonable move to look for. Right? If it comes down this deep into here, look for that confirmation. Take the 1 to 1.5, good to go. And of course, manage risk, right? So of course, you know, gets 1 to 1.5, go ahead and move that stop to break even, and then you go ahead and ride it out to 1 to 4. Let's go ahead and look at the NASDAQ. So we had a previous level here, and this one's a lot more clear to me. You can clearly see we had this break above, and really what you want to see is this particular wick. You want to probably capture this right there and this low like that. And so either or, you're still seeing it start to move up just a tad bit, but I mean, I don't know if I particularly like what this is looking like. Looks like it's going to start moving sideways, and so what we can go ahead and do is just go to the weekly and let's just see where we're at as far as this particular structure. So yeah, we have this high here, very wicky high, no clear range high. You can see maybe this is the range low, but I mean, I don't know about all of that, yo. You see nothing. We haven't came back down into this area. There's still like a large area in here. You could say something like this, right? And you go ahead, maybe take the 50%, and maybe you're saying, hey, we can go ahead and move back down. Or more locally, you're saying, hey, well, the American markets, I mean, why bet against them? Although Michael Burry probably is short. Why bet against American markets? And maybe you're looking for a nice long scalp in here. And so then you go ahead and drop down these time frames. Look at the 2 hour. Let's go ahead and look at the 1 hour here. Maybe we can find some day trades in here somewhere. NASDAQ's always a nice heavy mover. So we see here we had this large move down, and we finally broke above it. We still haven't came back to test it yet, so we could be looking at something like that. Maybe take the 50%, something like this. See what happens when it comes back down in here. If we see a nice confirmation, then we can go ahead and take a long for, you know, maybe a potential 1 to 1.5, something like this. No harm, no foul, right? Something like that. It looked pretty nice. And of course, you always want to just wait for your high probability setup, right? You see the come down into here. You see the black candle come down, and you see a white one break above it. No full body close. Go ahead and buy stop that bad boy. Take it 1 to 1.5. You know, obviously you can get super micro here, right? You see this 5 minute is just trading back and forth in this little range here. But ultimately, this probably looks like it's coming down more so. If I'm actually looking at this, let's go into 15 minute real quick. Yeah, I mean, you see this 15 minutes, just this large range here. You see down here, and then you see this topped out here. So we're not even really in the middle of the range just yet. So I mean, ultimately, wait for the alert to go off and see what happens from there. Let's go to US 30. Let's see what's going on here. Weekly, I mean, this looks like a reaccumulation. We had a breakup. Now we could probably see another reaccumulation. So we see price do something like lows, breaking lows, and we see a break here. And then we see some type of test. Maybe it meanders and plays around. And then we see something like that. And we probably want to sell stop. Maybe it comes back into here to go higher. This is going to be in a lower time frame, by the way, right? But we want to see something like that before we go ahead and even think about really taking a trade off of this. It doesn't look like, yeah, you see here this large move down and then came up. All these look really shitty. You feel me? Like absolute garbaggio. So I think I would probably stay away from that. That's the weekly time frame, though. To be fair, we're going to go ahead and look at the daily time frame. It looks like we're actually coming into something that has some type of semblance of making sense. So you see this here, finally breaks above here, and we see this. We have this large wick down. We have a break above, so we could be in this particular zone here. All right, we could be doing something like that. Let's go ahead and look at this. We have pretty drippy red money flow. I mean, honestly, it looks like it's still coming down. So you probably would want to see something like this, right? And then up like that, these waves, you feel me? So I don't know. I think we're still gonna keep coming down on this price. It just doesn't look good on the daily. It looks just really red. Looks like there's a lot of money in the upside. But then you go down to the 4 hour. 4 hours looking like it's starting to curve up. You see the money flow is just clearly starting to curve up. You want to see that green maybe before you start longing. So ultimately, maybe we have a retest in this area for like a short scalp or something good like that. You know, you got a 4 hour area there. You can go ahead and refine it down to this. It looks like it's starting to tap into here, but you look at these waves and it looks like it's just very choppy, very sideways, extremely ugly. Maybe it's not something you want to go ahead and put any risk on just yet. Maybe you wait till it gets somewhere down into here, right? You see this candle, very, very wicky, still wicky over here. You don't see it actually break this wick down, and then you see this break up. So, I mean, ultimately, you still look at something like that, even on the 15-minute, which is very low time frame. I mean, very low time frame is really 1 minute, 15 seconds. So it's like crackhead trading, but we won't even go there. So, I mean, I'm really not even looking at US 30. I thought I'd just break it down for you all here just for the sake of breaking it down. You can see what the markets are doing. Let's go ahead and look at the Forex markets. Euros just been continuously on the downside, move down, right? Let's go ahead and remove all these drawings. Looks like we have some alerts here. Let's go ahead and remove those alerts. Those don't really help us very much. It looks like we do have money starting to come up on the 4 hour. Let's see what we got on the daily. Looks like we have another dump incoming. You know, it's just red money. So maybe when we see this break this low here, we can go ahead and look for a short potentially, like right here, like a sell stop, and look for the 1 to 5, right? Because you just see we have all this room to move down. Probably looking at something in here potentially, right? That looks actually pretty decent to move down to before we start wanting to go ahead and move up. It's 95 cents on the dollar. I mean, it's a nice little 1 to 5, but you probably find a nice little short scalp somewhere in here in the next day or two, potentially, right? Obviously, look for your confirmations and take the trade. That's just how it goes, right? It's either going to go up or down. It's very simple. It's nothing complicated. I use these indicators just because, you know, you get the confidence in there. So let's go ahead and look at this real quick. This is the Schiller Home Price Index, and it looks like we have a lot of money coming in here. It looks like we could. Let's see if this indicator will tell us anything about home prices. If we go ahead and get this red dot here, it looks like we're going to be getting a nice little bullish divergence here, or excuse me, bearish divergence. And no, actually, we won't be. We want to see it get up to here, 319. So let's just go into some of the commodities here and get a good idea of what's going on. We got light crude oil here on the monthly time frame. Let's go ahead and look at the daily here real quick. It looks like, what do we got here? What is this indicating? Contract switch. Okay. I mean, it looks like it's coming down, but ultimately, this looks like it's going to dip. It's going to print a dot. This might be a decent time to look for some buys in here. Actually, this is probably already primed right here for a buy stop. Let it fly through that particular area, right? And then continue up to the moon, because this is like crude oil futures, and we know we're gonna keep on pumping, baby. Pump that oil, y'all. Pump that oil. Okay, so yeah, I mean, this might actually on the daily, this might be a good time to get a little buy stop going in here. You see the money, right? You got a nice wave under the 0 line. We're about to get a green dot to print here. We got this black candle that just came down here, and it just gapped up. So we might see a slight little pullback and then a continuation here. I mean, for all, this might be something to look at. So on the daily, we saw that come up, and we have this large gap down. So maybe you go ahead and just be a little bit patient here and wait. That's probably the best medicine here. You see all of these candles, very, very wicky. Nothing breaks below. You see this large wick down, and then finally, boom! We're moving up, y'all. We're moving on up. So maybe you wait for it to come back down into here before you actually go ahead and buy. You see down here on the 4 hour, it looks like, yeah, it looks like it can come back down here, and then we'll get a nice little trigger wave. We have these large anchor waves. If trigger waves, we look like we have the money flow wanting to start to cross over. Maybe we have a slight pullback into here. Boom, continue up. Yeah, that looks like it's primed to go. We already looked at gold, right? Gold futures. We got a good idea what we're looking at there. Natural gas. Oh man, natural gas is pumping right now. Oh, but you look at the weekly, and I guess it's really not pumping that hard. It's at the bottom of this particular range. It looks like this is a range high here. It looks like money flow is starting to cross up here just a bit, but I mean, it's quite weak, super weak. So maybe you wait for it to come back down here, right? Come back down here and money flow green, and maybe it prints a nice little trigger wave. So falls off something like, you know, maybe it'll do something like this. And then right here, this is probably where you're going to look for it to go up, right? And maybe it'll do something like that, and then it'll continue up like that. So probably wait for the pullback here. Of course, always wait for the pullback. Pullback's always a safe bet. And let it do what it's going to do. Let's go ahead and look at the T-bonds. Treasury bonds. What are we doing here, Treasury bonds? It looks like these T-bond futures are starting to hit the doo-doo, the toilet, you feel me? But, I mean, on a monthly time frame, you're starting to actually see money flow potentially crossing up. We're starting to get a nice little bullish divergence here, right? Price action going lower, momentum coming higher, right? You see a nice little green dot here, although this is technically considered an anchor, and you probably want to wait for it to trigger out and continue up. But I mean, I think, well, we could probably see it start to turn around here soon. I mean, this is on the monthly time frame, so I mean, take it with a grain of salt. But I mean, we zoom out just a tad bit here. We probably do have some time before this. You see this large move down. This is on the daily time frame. You probably want to see it come back up and then probably liquidate these lows again. So I probably wouldn't trade T-bond futures right now. Silver, I mean, we're in a range. Probably look for it to come back down to this range low, right? Something like in here. Wait for it to tap back in here. A little bit lower, right? If it liquidates this, and then you have higher momentum waves here, right? We have a nice little bullish divergence. That would be good to see, but we'll see. We have copper futures at $3.64. Looks like we're starting to move down just a tad bit. This could potentially be a reaccumulation here, right? If we liquidate this low, we see some pretty funky price action, right? Liquidate that, and then we break up. Then we potentially look for some longs here, right? Continue up like that, something of that caliber. But I think we're gonna go ahead and end this here. It's been 23 minutes. I hope you all learned something. I hope you got something from this. And as always, just go ahead and hit that like button. Tell me what you thought about the video. Tell your boy what you thought. And yeah, just have a great week. I'll holler at y'all later. Peace.